switching stations at split, and you're deciding in that split moment whether or not you're going to stay at that station or not. People make those kind of tonal decisions all the time, and your voice is giving away that data like that.
You said earlier that voice is life, and you talked about voice work. So maybe we just need to step back a little bit and just give people an understanding of what does that mean? Like, what is voice work? If I've never heard that term before, or understand that there's ways that we can use our voice for different impact to different affect, tell us a little bit about what that is.
A lot of times you'll hear someone say something like, I don't like how you said that to me. And then the person will respond, what are you talking about? What do you mean? It's like, it's the way you said that. And it's this elusive kind of assessment or judgment that comes where you're like, well, this is just the way I talk, deal with it, or whatever have you. Tone or timbre is the quality of a sound, and that is detected instantly. Your voice makes an impression on someone in 1/10 of a second. That's the same amount of time that timbre of music makes an impression. There's a book called Nothing But Noise, and it's about timbre and music. And he talks about voice very briefly. But that very small fraction of a second, you ever like dial when you're listening to the radio? For those who ever turn dials on radios, I'm aging myself, but we used to turn in a car. Like, we used to listen to an actual radio, and we had to allow ourselves to turn to different stations. And you can tell, like, you're switching stations at split, and you're deciding in that split moment whether or not you're going to stay at that station or not. People make those kind of tonal decisions all the time, and your voice is giving away that data like that. So when I say voice work, what is the appropriate tone for the context of the discussion that you are having right now? A lot of people are brilliant and they have amazing content. And this is actually where I want to lean into Clubhouse. And when I first came into your room, in the Future Room, you were speaking. And I remember instantly being like, I don't know who this guy is, but I'm listening. And then you told this really beautiful story. And I had no idea who you were, but I remembered the gravitas, how exceptional the delivery of your story was. I'm like, this guy, whatever he does it well, and he does it at a masterful level. And then the affect of your tone I cannot forget it. I was attempting to figure out how I wanted to describe it, but you have like a surgical warmth. That's the best way that I could describe it. It's like very precise and to the point, but it's warm. It's like the neurosurgeon that really cares about opening up the person's brain, and they're not just cold and looking at it like, okay, this is a person, but I still have to open them up and I still have to do this procedure, but I'm still dealing with the person. And that affect is what people will remember. The tone of your voice will indicate two things for people after: what reminds them of you and what they remember about you. Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you said it. And there's neuroscience to support that. Like in certain memory tasks, they can remember if you said words in a sad way, they will remember that you said them in a sad way more than they will actually remember the word itself. Same thing with any other tone. And we are drawn to tonal decision making. For example, I go to a restaurant, you go to the waiter or the waitress and you say, what's good food on this menu? And they'll point out this dish, like, oh, this is one of our popular ones. But then they'll say something like this, well, but this right here, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that. Why? Because in their tone, I was able to ascertain that experience was so enriching for them. I want that. And when we're speaking to people are making decisions about whether or not they want to sound like us.